Awesome. We are recording. All right. You guys are welcome to ask any questions you want. I mean, it's a small group. We only got 16 people or so, but even if we had 30, it'd be totally cool to ask questions. I was going to put all this like in the email or like on the text message thing, but it's just so much involved. I figured we'll just do it this way and see how it goes this year. Because I don't want anybody to miss anything. We always have somebody that messes something up regarding regionals and sectionals. So I don't want that to be anyone here. I'm assuming everybody can hear me okay, right? Yes, audio's good.
We're
Nope.
All
good.
good.
Oh, all right,
All
awesome.
good.
Good.
All right, I'm also being lazy, and I'm doing the Fox Valley and the West Suburban Girls at the same time because it's literally all the exact same information. So everything's the same. And for those of you guys that play on both sides of the fence, even the websites are the same because I am also that lazy. So first things first, we're on this call right now, so we got that part. From a scheduling standpoint, there are three things to make note of for regionals, and you can choose the first one optionally. But on Saturday morning from 10 to 11 at Nequa for both programs, the girls and boys, Coach Parton is going to do like a short workout, and basically for the purposes of having the building open so people can use the scale to check weight. Weights are going to be important, as you're going to find out here in a little bit. So there's an open mat / practice and weight check for both clubs 10 to 11 on Saturday. And then the official weigh-in will be at a different facility because everybody in the region goes to the same place in that case, right after that. So when you leave Nequa, you should be at the weight that you want to wrestle at, is the idea. But let's look at some of the stuff on the schedule here real quick. So to get this information, if you don't already have it, from either website, if you go to the calendar or to the homepage and go down to the event, there's this flyer that's on here. Everyone in our region got this same flyer. So it has a lot of the basic info on there. Most important thing being the weigh-in. You have to physically weigh in along with everyone else in our region, which are these teams right down here. Well, the left half of this down here. We all have to weigh in the same time, anytime you want from 11 to 1 o'clock. I put on our calendars 11 to 12:45 because if you come at 1:01, you're not weighing in. So I would just tell everybody it ends at 12:45, and then if you're late, it's not my fault. So from 11 to 1 o'clock, you need to be at this location. Most of you have been here before. We had a tournament there that the Gomez folks ran in December. So it's at that building is where the weigh-in is going to physically be at. Following that is a seating meeting. You do not have to worry about that. That doesn't involve you. That's Adam, Mike, and I that have to go to that. So that doesn't, you guys are off the hook on that. After the weigh-ins are complete, we basically sit down with all these other clubs and we try to seed these kids. So that way, the two best kids at the exact same weight don't wrestle each other in the first round. We want them to meet in the last round. It's obviously a lot of predicting, but that's the goal of that. So that doesn't involve you directly. And the scratch meeting doesn't involve you directly. So wrestling will begin on Sunday at 9 a.m. So your two keys are 11 o'clock weigh-in on Saturday, 9 o'clock wrestling on Sunday. You're going to want to come an hour early like we always do, so you have time to warm up and all that good stuff. In regards to the weigh-ins, this is unlike a lot of our other tournaments for some of the ages. So let's look at that real quick. So if you haven't been here before, the IKWF site, ikwf.org, when you go to age groups on top and you click on individual, it'll show you senior, novice, intermediate, bantam, and tot. You'll notice for bantam and tot, there are no weight classes for anything. Regular tournaments, none, regionals, there's no weight classes. So regionals, if you're a tot or bantam, is going to work exactly the same way it works for every other tournament you've been doing every other Sunday. You show up at the weigh-in. Well, the difference is you have to go to their weigh-in. You show up at the weigh-in, and then they take the four smallest kids, one bracket. The next four, another bracket. Next four, another bracket. There is some adjustments sometimes to try to keep two kids from the same club from being in the same bracket when possible. But those two groups, tot and bantam, work exactly the same. The other thing that's different for tot and bantam is that you do not advance from regionals onto sectionals the following week. So you guys go on regionals this Sunday. It's a regular tournament for you guys, and then that's it. Season's concluded, and everything's completely normal in that regard. For the older kids, which would be the intermediate, novice, and senior, you have to declare a weight class for regionals. Actually, you don't have to declare a weight class. Whatever you weigh in for regionals becomes your weight class. And then you have to make that same weight the next week for sectionals. So let's say you're a novice and you're 101 pounds. You're right here, 101 pounds. You can either lose 1 pound and be in the 100-pound weight class, or you can be in the 108-pound weight class. Either one is fine. But then next week at sectionals, you'll have to make the same weight. So if you choose to go from 101 down to 100, which is not that hard, it's just a little smart timing of your eating and bathroom activities. But then next week at sectionals, you'd have to be the same weight. If you come in and you're bigger than 100, you automatically lose and you're done. So you have to make the same weight 2 weeks in a row. The intermediates, novice, and sectionals, or excuse me, intermediates, novice, and seniors will advance from regionals to sectionals if they place in the top 6 of all the kids in their weight from these clubs. Most of you will place in the top 6. It's not a giant number of people at these regional tournaments. The main purpose of the regional tournament is to kind of determine the proper seating for the sectional tournament. That's really the main purpose of it. And then if there is a ton of kids at one weight, like 14 kids at one weight, we do have to weed them down to 6 kids. So 6 kids from our regional and 6 kids from the other regional, which is in Wheaton, so the Naperville regional and the Wheaton regional, will combine together into one sectional in Oswego. So you have 12 kids for each weight, unless you're at a really, really tiny weight or a really, really big weight, and then maybe you're short a couple kids and you only have 9 or something instead of 12. Go back on there. So on those weights, you have to choose. If you're not sure, give me a call or text me on the side or something, and I'll talk to you about it. We can look and see what your kid's been weighing. And then what my kids do, well, my older kid, and now this first time for my younger kid, is he'll weigh himself all this whole week. He'll weigh himself every night and every morning. Normally, we just ignore weight all year long. We don't encourage weight cutting as a club, but you kind of have to pick left or right, at this point in time. Losing 1 or 2 pounds is not hard for most kids. Some kids can lose a few more. If you don't feel comfortable with it, they don't want to do it, don't bother. Just stay higher. It's obviously a little more competitively advantageous. If you're 101, it's pretty easy to go down to 100. If you're 107, it's not really healthy to do that, so you should stay up. And then obviously anything in between there. The weight classes are not the same for the 3 age groups, intermediate, and novice, and senior. So if you have 2 kids, don't assume they're the same. Come to the website and look at the weights here and decide which one you want to do. The questions about weight from anybody? Does that make sense? All right. When you come out,
Ryan,
yes.
so do they have to weigh the same then for state, or do they get any allowance for that?
Yes. Okay. So the intermediate, novice, and senior top 6 in that region will advance to the sectional. And then all those guys in the sectional, those 12 kids wrestle each other. The top 3 in the sectional will advance to state. But that only applies to novice and senior. Intermediate is done at sectional. So it's kind of like as you're growing up through the program, they kind of like teach you how the system works, right? So the little guys, they only go to regionals. The intermediates go to regionals and sectionals. And then the novice and senior go to regional, sectionals, and state. So for state, if you are the top 3 for your weight at sectionals, you advance to state, which is in Rockford this year, which is the following weekend. So regionals one weekend, then sectional, then state. State, you'll weigh in on Thursday night, so you'd have to take off school on Friday. You'd weigh in on Thursday night, and you have to make the same weight. So in my previous example with that novice kid that weighs 101 who decided to go 100, he still would have to weigh 100 on Thursday at state. Then the second day of state, you have to weigh in again on Friday night after you're done wrestling. So you're ready to be weighed Friday night for Saturday's wrestling. It's a 2-day thing. You get a 1 pound allowance on the second day. So that kid who made 100 pounds for the regional, sectional, and state, he gets to weigh 101 on the second day of state. So another reason not to shed a bunch of pounds, because you're going to have to do it 3 weekends in a row, and you have to do it 2 days back to back at state. So 1, 2, 3 pounds is kind of a reasonable thing, but if you're trying to drop down like a whole weight class for kids this age, that would be probably detrimental. Wouldn't be a great idea. Does that kind of answer it for state?
Yep.
There are several of you that are going to qualify for state. Obviously, we'll trickle out more information when we get to that point. Adam does have a few hotel rooms blocked out in Rockford already. That way, whoever does make it, we don't know who that's going to be right now. Whoever does make it, we'll be able to get that registration block info to those people. And you pretty much have to do it like right away, because you're going to know like on Saturday if you qualified, and then like I think Monday our room block ends or something like that, and then Thursday you're out there already. So those go pretty quick in that regard. Those dates, just for everybody who needs them, they are on the 2 websites on the calendars. Although The main page of the website only shows 5 events. So you have to either go to the calendar, or if you click the view all, it'll take you to the calendar anyway. And then, so at that point, we'd be in March. So there's the sectional, which is a Saturday. So regionals is over here on the 27th, which is a Sunday. Sectionals is a Saturday. The room block, I believe, we'll confirm it with Adam, but I believe it ends on the 7th. Then state is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but the Thursday is just the weigh-in part that night. So you don't have to really take off school, or maybe you got to like skip one period of school. But Friday, you would have to take off school. All right, more questions on weights? I made a big deal about the multiple weeks in a row because literally every year we have some kid who shows up at sectional and does not know that he has to be at a certain weight, the same weight he was the previous week, and then therefore his season ends. It happens every single year. I hope it doesn't happen this year. So hopefully it won't happen to the 19 people on this call at least. Other information, we have on the girls club, we have 5 people signed up for regionals. So this is you guys here. And then just so everybody's aware, one person, Gianna, unfortunately is not eligible to be in our region. She lives past the 50-mile radius, so she has to go to a different region. But the rest of you guys will be together. And then on the boys' side, we had 36 on there. And I think I texted that out, so you should have already seen on there that you're already listed on there. There are some other postseason things for those that want. I'll just use the girls' calendar because it's already open. If you're a bantam, the week after sectionals, like so your season ends on the 27th, but you can go to Bantam Championship, which most people just call Bantam State, even though it's technically not supposed to be called that, but everyone calls it that. It's an open tournament. Literally any bantam could sign up. It is highly competitive though, so only sign up if your kid's been winning way more than losing. The week after state, so the 19th and 20th, is the midget championship. Midget is the old verbiage for what we now call intermediate, because obviously midget's a derogatory term, but this particular tournament doesn't want to give it up. Most people call it midget state, but it's kind of like state but for only for intermediates. So Bantam State and Intermediate State, there's no qualifying. Regionals doesn't matter. You can just sign up. Literally any kid could sign up. That's the right age for those. And then we also have Girls State, which I believe is like the 8th year of this now. It's K through 12. So if you got a high schooler and a younger girl, it's actually kind of cool. They can wrestle in the same tournament. There's no qualify for that either. So it doesn't matter how you do in the traditional IKWF regional sectional state. Any girl can sign up for this folk style state, which is the day after regular state. And that's hosted in our backyard in Oswego. So we probably should send girls to that, obviously. What else? So we got roster stuff. The age groups, the weights. The only other thing that may be of interest to you, and this is like a total guessing game, but if you go back on track and look at one of the old regionals, for example, just to give you an idea, some perspective, this is from, I don't know if this is 2019 or 2020 I grabbed, it doesn't say on top. But regardless, when you go on the divisions, you can see this is a small tournament, these regionals. They're all pretty much the same. It's a couple hundred kids versus the 800-900 or the 1,000 that we had in Tinley this past weekend. So it's really small. It is only on 5 mats though. I believe maybe it's 6 because I think they split 1 mat in half for tots and bantams. But then all the bigger kids are on 4 mats. So it does take a little bit of time. It's not longer than like a regular all-day tournament. But it is a pretty small group of people. But you could have a lot of matches. You could have 3, 4, 5, 6 matches, right? It might be that many. So if we look at some of these age groups as an example, like the senior one, 97 kids, if I click on that, these are each of the weight classes, and it shows you that year, I think it was 19 or 20, how many kids were in each weight class, right? So if you were a 70-pound kid as a senior, you would have just automatically advanced to sectionals. It'd be boring because you'd have no matches, and we've had kids do that before. But actually the 74-pound kids would all advance. All the 79s would advance. 84s would all advance because there's less than 6 of them, and 6 of them advance. If you were a 90-pounder, 4 of you didn't make it, right? 4 didn't make it here, 4 didn't make it here. So most kids will advance from regional to sectional if they're intermediate, novice, and senior. Sectional is really where it's difficult to advance after that because then you got 12-man brackets for everybody and only 3 advance out of there. So the main goal of the regional is just to do well so you can get a good seed in the sectional. So for regionals, we, the coaches, seed it by arguing with each other, essentially, politely. And then for sectionals, it's seeded by a formula based on how you did in regionals, right? The best kid on our regional will wrestle the sixth place kid on the other regional, et cetera. So it kind of gives you a little bit of perspective on whether you're probably going to be. I mean, if your kid's 170 pounds, you're probably going to the sectional without any debate because there probably won't be more than 6 kids that weight. If you're in the middle weights,
Hey, hey Ryan.
Yes, sir.
Did they fix the weird seating thing that they would do at the sectional, where it was like better to finish second, fourth, and sixth in the regional?
I don't remember it being weird.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
When you say better because the first place kid got a bye and you don't want the bye?
Second got a bye, first had to wrestle.
No. It doesn't sound right.
Yeah, it was like an old. It was like a. It was. I forget why it was, but it was when they didn't have.
It was when they switched formats from the round robin to the other way. So when it moved, if the second place finisher actually was in a better spot, and in fact in Lincoln's bracket itself, the guy who got first at regionals had to wrestle the first round. The guy that got second didn't have to wrestle first round. It was funky.
All right, let's look at it because I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Was it because the other sectional or the other regional had less kids?
Okay, so that'll happen then. If you push 6 kids through, and they push 2 kids through, it's not like there's 4 kids of buys that just get stuck in there. They move some kids over to the other side for sure to try to balance it out. And there's
and that was a little bit of it. But
so if we looked at Lincoln's, the example you guys are talking about, he was the 5th place from the A regional.
Yeah, but look at Hogan Rice, number 1. Yeah.
So Lincoln would have got, where's Lincoln? Jeez, right here. He got this Mason Galan kid, and Mason Galan was a 3rd from the other side.
But if you look at like number 1, Hogan Rice, I believe he had to wrestle first round, and it was funky.
He fed into like the number 1
maybe
seed.
Yeah, he had 1 bye. Yeah, and then he got Lincoln. So
there was something funky though.
Well, that doesn't mean he should get a bye. He got the first place, right?
Yeah.
No, that looked fine, but there was something funky about that, if I recall.
Oh, okay.
Not necessarily. Maybe it wasn't his bracket, but it was somebody. There was some consternation over it because it was switching from a round robin style to a regular bracketed style, and the seating was off somehow.
That's weird. Yeah, there won't be any round robins in sectional or regional. They're prohibited now and in the past. So they should never build a round robin bracket. So nothing I don't think is changed in the bylaws, but I don't know what happened in that one, the weird ones you guys saw last time. So I'm going to say probably nothing weird, and then I cross my fingers. I guess we'll see. The bylaws, if anybody ever wants, not that you want to read the bylaws because it's like boring as hell, but if you're on the IKWF website and you go to the top, there's bylaws. And honestly, what I do is it's 43 pages of boringness. I usually keyword search for stuff, the control F deal, and then I type in what I want, right? And then hopefully I get close, and then you can read stuff. But it's a lot of stuff, so it does get, especially with all the rules on the regionals and sectional stuff, it does get kind of hairy. It's not as bad for us because we only have 2 regionals in our sectional, but when there's 3, it's a super giant mess. But the bylaws will specify out who from which regional has to wrestle who from the next regional. So that's a 3 rotation. So this is how it is, and this is unchanged from the past time, 2020. So basically, one region you just pretend is A, us. The other region is B, and if you were the 5th place kid in B, you should get the 3rd place kid, or 5th place in A, you should get the 3rd place kid in B as your first match. Is the idea. All right, what other questions do we have? All right, so weights, good. Roster, good. Weights 2 weeks in a row. Brackets. The only other thing from my perspective is before we go to the seating meeting on Saturday, I'm going to go through these 36 boys and these 5 girls, and I'm going to try to figure out the best I can records and who in our regional your kid did or did not beat, because that's what's going to come up in the seating meeting, especially when you get to the novice and senior. Those tend to get debated more. The intermediates, other coaches don't get super crazy about it because it's like, well, it's not affecting a kid going to state. Still important, but so as I told you guys before, I'm going to look at track because we have like all but one of our tournaments are on track this year. So I'm going to steal all the data off there. So if your track profile is not updated with your tournaments, updating that makes my life significantly easier and probably gives me better ammunition to argue somebody having a higher seed than others. If you beat all the kids that are at your weight in our region, there's no reason you shouldn't get the first seed, right? That kind of thing.
Hey, Ryan, real quick, when you say update the information on track,
Yeah,
I mean,
so I sent a video to everyone on how to
oh, that
do
one.
that.
Okay.
But from my end, what I'm going to do is for your kid, I'm going to go to track wrestling. I'm going to pull up their profile, whoever it is. I don't know who's just speaking. We'll pick up I'll pick my kids and I'll pick on anybody else's kid. I'll pick one of my kids, right? And I go to his profile. And when I scroll down here, it has all the tournaments that they've been in and any significant wins. And just so you know, significant wins means you beat a kid that had a 0.75 rank or higher. But that doesn't really help me in this discussion so much unless you beat a bunch of kids that are happen to be in our regional. But if I'm looking for, I'll know which kids, I'm going to go scout which kids are in your region. I'm going to go look at tournaments that we were at, especially ones that are nearby, like St. Charles, Batavia, Plainfield, that are in our backyard, and see which kids you did or didn't beat. Like, oh, okay, you beat this kid from, first I pick one that has nothing in our area. Batavia should, right? Of course I did not again. One of these should. So St. Charles is in a regional, right? So if this kid happens to stay at the same weight, and I know that he lost to our kid, I will argue that our kid should be seated higher than him, basically. So I'll have notes prepared on that for when we go into our meeting. So if you haven't, make sure the tournaments for this year are listed on here. It should look exactly like this, by the way. Maybe you have 1 or 2 less that you did or didn't go to that we did, but and there's a video, and I can resend it again on how to do it. It's not painful. You just log into track and basically click on placements and put in the date of the tournament that's missing, and it adds it automatically on here. So if you haven't done that yet for the season, or you haven't done the past couple of weeks, go ahead and do that. All right, what other questions? All right, then I'm going to filibuster by reading the whole bylaw manual.
Hey, Ryan. Just one other note of a difference in this tournament than the others is and I know it's not that big of a deal, but every kid needs to have their laces taped.
Yes, great point, Jim. So what he's talking about is literally by rule, you have to wrap around the top of your ankle where your shoelaces are with athletic tape, so your shoe cannot come untied. I don't know how that began, why it's actually in the rules, but it's like, because if some kid's shoe gets untied frequently, it gets used as a reason for him to catch his breath, and then somebody argues. So like 2 decades ago, they said everyone tapes their shoes, and then we don't have an argument anymore. Technically, I think if you have Velcro on there, they allow you not to have to tape it, but we just make all of our kids tape it anyway. So bring a roll of athletic tape, and we'll tape the tops of the shoes before we even warm up, both at regionals and sectionals. Thank you, Jim. That's a good point. What else?
Hey, Ryan.
Yes.
Hey, did you guys have weigh-in cards, something you had the parents make up? Or did you guys make something up for that? I know that was one of the things that Kevin wanted us to bring.
I did not know anything about that. Physically, like a card.
We made some. We made some for all of our kids.
All right,
Gotcha.
Adam's on top of it.
Adam's always on top of it.
Not as on top of it as Hoger.
If it wasn't for the fact that we have
So
like
you were a good pair.
host, we all have our little buckets. All right, so regarding these weigh-in cards, guys, what do we have to do with them differently? We're gonna give them.
There's an email from Formansky. We've got them all. We'll have them at weigh-ins for our kids.
Okay, we're bringing them, so our parents don't need to do anything special. We'll just show up at weigh-ins, and we'll give each kid the card we made. Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, you know why? Because we don't have the USA Wrestling ones anymore. That's probably why, Jeremy. We used to use those, but now that they stopped doing paper, we don't have those anymore.
Right.
Makes
That
sense.
was just what you wanted him to bring.
All right, cool. Got it. Thank you. You did it for both clubs, I'm assuming, Adam. All right.
Not yet, but they will be done.
Hey, Ryan, I remember why they did the weird bracketing thing.
Okay.
It was when they used to do, if you lose and your guy loses, you're out.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like you would feed into a better guy so that you had
Yeah.
a better chance of that guy winning.
Yeah. So what he's talking about is the tournament used to be that, so it was so stupid. And actually, I think they did it other places too. But if the kid that beat you got beat by the next kid, you were done. So you could have one match and you'd be done. You could have been the second best kid at the tournament, and another kid got a fluky pin or something, and then you're done. So you would follow the leader, meaning that you had the guy that beat you had to keep winning for you to get back in the loser bracket to wrestle back to third. And I'm pretty sure we don't have anything like that anymore for any of the ages. So we're good. It's more fair now, although it does take a little longer, but it's more fair.
Follow your man. Worst rule in tournament history.
I know it's great if you only want to find the one best kid and you don't care about anyone else. Everyone from places 2 and down, it's a disaster. So when we look at one of these brackets now, we'll look at a big one from 2 years ago. Right, this is more like a normal bracket where everybody who lost here has an opportunity to wrestle back to third. So no matter when you lose in the tournament, except for the second place kid, everybody else has the opportunity to wrestle back to third at some point. If you lose twice, okay, now you're done. But if you lose twice, then you're not the best kid, obviously. But it used to not be like this, and they probably changed it 3 or 4 years ago, I think. It's way better now. All right, more questions on anything?
Hey, Ogre,
Yes.
if you lose twice with the exception of consolation semifinals.
Constellation semifinals. Oh, because we need to figure out who the fifth and
Fifth
sixth
and sixth.
are.
Yep.
So he's talking about here is in this case Grisham and Osborne, or Grisham and Brower would have lost. Those guys, it's not shown on this screen, but they would have went into the. I don't have a box to check it. They would have went into the 5th, 6th place match. Just not because either one of them's out of the tournament and they can't advance. Both of them still advance, but we need to know where they're going to get seated for sectionals.
They don't do that on this one, Hoger, because isn't this a sectional bracket?
Yeah, that's a sectional bracket or regional bracket.
All right.
So
If
you
you
only
have 12,
I had to go
that's
further
what it's
back
going to be.
for that.
Yeah.
How far back do I gotta go? Regional. Sligo. Division bracket. All right, there's the match he's talking about. So this kid who lost once earlier and lost again, and this kid who lost to Swanson. All the brackets I picked that randomly have Oswego kids. This is weird. So those two guys had to wrestle for 5th, 6th so they could see what place they'd go in the next week. And obviously, during the tournament, if you or the wrestler have any questions about it, all of us can pull it up on track and we can explain to them what they need to do or not do on the next match to keep moving forward. What else? We good? We turned 15 minutes into 28. Great job. All right. Well, if there's no other question. What? One more? Jeremy's fault?
Jeremy's fault.
No, it's good questions. They helped everybody, I think.
Yeah, I do have a quick one for you.
Yes.
I was the one that was about the profile. Do you remember when you sent that? Also, so I could find the video.
I don't, but I will find it. But you can also, at any point in time, if you go to YouTube and you go to Fox Valley Wrestling.
Find it then if it's on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's on our YouTube channel. And if you want, if you go to playlists, or you can see the playlist right here. But one of the playlists we have is set up for track wrestling help. There's only 2 videos on there right now. It's the second one. Oh, I feel like I want to watch this now. I like that guy. And here, adding placements on the tournament. So it's only like 3-4 minutes. It's not bad. All right, but walks you through how to do it. All right, what else? All right, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and end the recording, and I'll share it for everybody else who missed us. And we'll see you guys at practice tomorrow. Thank you.
Hoger, can I chat with you before you hang up?
Or just call me.
Or just call you, yeah.
All right, give me like 3-4 minutes. Shut this off.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
See?